What's up, everybody? We're back. I'm George Mossey. I'm here with Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. I'm back from my poorly planned vacation, and I missed podcasting last week. I didn't have any of my equipment. I apologize ahead of time. I didn't have a travel agent. Travel agents exist for a reason. I'll use one next time, I promise. So last night, we got 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Season 6, Episode 3. And let's just jump right in. There was a lot going on. So we got to see Jovi and Yara with their 4-day-old Mila. And we got to see a little glimpse of Jovi as a dad. Jovi was in the grocery store in his pajamas and shopping. And he didn't forget the beer. He did forget all the fruits and vegetables that Yara asked him to buy. But he got the case of beer.
I mean, what do we expect from Jovi, right? Jovi is a professional frat boy. Like, I don't know. I'm not surprised. I know who Yara married. I hope Yara knows who she married. Like, it's very typical. But I really do feel for them, especially, myself being a new mom. And happy Mother's Day to all of the moms who watch our podcast. And happy to your wife and sometimes co-host Heather. But I her because when you're a new mom and there's a reason why at the hospital they don't even give you any instructions. They just send you home and they say congratulations, because there is no rule book and there really isn't much you can tell people about how to raise their own children. So I understand Yara's hesitation to really take advice from Jovi's mom, but I hope they get over that soon, because Jovi said he's leaving for 2 months to Guyana.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand the issue with taking advice, because it's almost like a territorial or a sense of being threatened when it comes to women and raising kids and taking advice, especially from a mother-in-law. Mother-in-laws are usually very hard on their daughter-in-laws. So advice is something that's really difficult to take happily. And then when Gwen walked in, she was like, I can't believe you had the baby outside. And I was like, well, the baby's not a vampire. Like, it's allowed to go outside. Like, I know she's very old school. I'm from Louisiana and I was raised in Louisiana, so I do know for a fact the older women in our generation felt the same way. You don't take a baby outside until it was a couple months old. It never left the house. But I do believe that it is safe to take your baby out for a walk in the park and to get sunlight. They're not vampires. Their skin won't melt.
I don't know. If my mom were alive, rest in peace, she would have definitely scolded me, because I took my son outside right away. And in our culture, I'm Jamaican. You don't take your baby out for the first 6 weeks. But, oh well.
I mean, yeah, it's different. Just like Yara said, it's not the same where she's from, and it's different where they're from. All cultures have different things that they believe. So I'm just hoping that they can find a medium in between, because like you said, Jovi is leaving and Gwen is the only person that she knows. So this is going to be her sense of support and help. All right, so let's talk about Angela. It's okay. So it's the day before her surgery, and we see her, and she's eating, and her friend JoJo comes for support, which she needs. I don't think anyone should go through any type of major surgery without somebody physically with you all the time. You need to be watched, you need to be supported and helped. And she's more so worried about how Michael's going to take her breast reduction surgery. She's not nervous about going under the knife. She's not really nervous about the risks, which everyone else seems to be worried about but her. She's more worried if Michael is going to divorce her based on the size of her breast.
I mean, I did hear some concern, to be fair to Angela, about the surgery and being fearful of not waking up. And, I did hear some concern. I mean, I'm not an Angela advocate, but I'm going to be fair and say that she did kind of really show something of concern. Now, here's the thing. I nearly threw up when she said, Michael, you ain't going to be able to pull on them like you like.
Yes, I agree. God.
Is that sexual? Well, I got a visual that I didn't need last night. Angela, you are a Mima, and not that Mimas aren't sexy. They are. But I don't want to hear about you in this capacity with Michael. I was traumatized. So I don't know if I really heard much else of what was going on with Angela after that, because I was getting over my
initial shock. Well,
exactly.
After that, Michael had some concern, because he's concerned that with Angela being newly beautiful and skinny and thin and perfect, that she's going to start getting a lot of attention from men. So he's actually starting to question how faithful she can be being so hot, is basically.
There's no amount of surgery that's going to make that a real credible threat, Michael. So it's okay. Again, like, I don't want to be mean to Angela. I think she's extremely controlling, kind of narcissistic. I worry about Michael's safety sometimes. I feel like he's a victim of, a very emotionally abusive situation. With that being said, I mean, I don't, Michael, you're good. No one's barking up that tree but you. It's all yours.
I tweeted it last night. I was like, I said it, answer me, please. Who is waiting to pick up where Michael left off and take Angela home? I want to know. Because I have questions. I want to interrogate you. I want to know exactly what's going through your head. So another thing that she said was, during the day of the surgery, she called all of her family and no one picked up the phone. And I actually felt a little sympathy for her, but at the same time, this is an elective surgery. So her family is like, look, you chose to do this. This is something you wanted to do. You could have easily went on a diet. Like, we're not going to just coddle you and support your feelings, basically.
Angela's morbidly obese. I would argue to say that this is a life-saving surgery. I would argue to say that because she is not obese, morbidly obese, and given her age, I think that something does need to be done. I don't know if surgery was the answer, but if she could have done it on her own, she would have done it by now. She's 54 years old, so I mean, she clearly doesn't have the discipline. She was still trying to smoke a cigarette. She was still trying to break the rules because she thinks that they don't apply to her. So if she's that kind of person, she can go ahead and have this gastric sleeve and end up right back in the same situation because she can re-stretch out her stomach. We've seen that happen all the time. So who knows? I just wish Angela the best.
I do too. I know I'm not a fan, but again, I want her surgery to go well, and I wish her family would have picked up the phone at least. Support doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything to be supportive to someone, even if you don't really agree. So I kind of feel a little sympathy there because I don't agree with what she's doing, but again, family needs to be there to support you regardless. So let's talk about Kalani and Asuelo. So Kalani arrives at the family home where she's going to be staying for a couple months because she's in between leases. And Asuelo seems to welcome her with open arms, and he's all excited to see her. And everyone's like, what's up with that?
I mean, listen, I don't understand why they just can't take a win when a win is presented. Anybody who watches our podcast knows that I hold a very unpopular position of being totally team Asuelo. You and I always disagree, but I'm team Asuelo. I don't care. And I just feel like when he does try to turn over a leaf, whether it's long lasting or not, welcome the change, right? Welcome the change. And they consistently beat him up. They consistently throw it in his face. They consistently tear him down and emasculate him. And I just really feel for him. And Kalani is not there to be an advocate of their marriage, to be an advocate for her nephew's father. She's really just there to tear their relationship apart or take a front seat to the demise of their relationship. That's why she's there.
I agree. I did feel like she was really enjoying poking holes in their plan. I felt like she's like, oh, so you're buying a house and that's going to work out in your favor. How? I did feel like she was taking a lot of joy in poking holes in their relationship and poking holes in their plans. And that's never helpful when people are in a relationship rut. It's never helpful to have that constant negativity there to point out the things that aren't working. It's better to have positivity and people helping you build your relationship up. So I feel like Kalani is enjoying the fact that she's there. And I don't know if this was planned by production or whatever, but this was a really bad time for someone with her mindset to be around them.
Absolutely. Kalani is wants the marriage to die. She's ready to throw the funeral for the marriage. And I just don't think that that's right. I don't think we should celebrate the ending of marriages in a way that we derive pleasure from it. Sometimes a divorce can be a good thing that gives all parties a certain level of freedom that they need, a certain level of relief, a certain level of resolve. But I don't think we should be taking personal pleasure and gratification from watching a marriage disintegrate.
I agree. Marriage is a sacred bond. And if it doesn't work out, it's a sad situation, especially for the children involved. And I just want to say this before we end this part one. Buying a house is probably not the best way to save the marriage. Buying a house is probably a way to end a good marriage because entering such a huge responsibility with another person is very difficult. They're having problems living together with his parents. I can only imagine when they're in charge of the bills and everything, how many extra problems that's going to bring alongside. I really hope that they actually take Kalini's advice and get a rental, an apartment, something where they can just test the waters, because they're really at a turning point, and we don't know if they're going to be able to make it another year, and a house is 30 years. So I just want to make sure that they're ready to take that step. All right, guys, that's it for part 1. We're going to come back and talk about part 2. That was 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. I'm George Mossey. This is Marshana, Dahlia, Spavento. I'll put our Twitters and Instagrams at the bottom. Make sure you live tweet with us every week. We're always there, and we love to hear what you have to say. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We'll talk to you real soon.